Hi, Crypto Stylist here, coming to you straight out of menswear and Paris Couture Fashion Weeks for Autumn/Winter 22, where the two most talked about shows were the last collection designed by the late Virgil Abloh for Louis Vuitton Men's, and the debut collection for Kenzo, which was designed by creative director Nigo. And both collections are luxury brands that were helmed by streetwear creative directors. And for those of you that are not that familiar with fashion, this is remarkable because it really wasn't that long ago when the luxury fashion designers and the market did not accept or even acknowledge streetwear as legitimate fashion. So in today's video, we're going to do a deep dive into the rise of streetwear and how it disrupted the luxury fashion industry. There are key milestones in the rise from being an underground niche to being permanently embedded into the DNA of luxury fashion. And this is interesting because there are many similarities in the rise of streetwear and the rise of crypto. And it's even more interesting to pay attention to how streetwear came up the ranks because we as a community are currently navigating the path to mass adoption and virality. And I think that there's a lot that we can learn and apply from streetwear's journey to acceptance. So luxury labels in the early 2000s were struggling to find ways to connect with the next generation of luxury customers. So while traditional luxury's value came from fine craftsmanship and precious fabrics, streetwear's value came from this perceived authenticity from its association with subcultural movements such as skate, punk, grunge, and hip hop. Streetwear was the authentic representation of youth culture, and it was able to make a connection that the luxury fashion industry was unable to at the time. And just as luxury brands were struggling to stay relevant, traditional finance and fiat currencies were struggling to stay ahead of the devastating effects of inflation. So streetwear and crypto are similar because both were able to fix something that was broken, and both are a form of rebellion against traditional systems that simply were no longer working. And the fact that corporate giants of fashion and of finance are investing in streetwear and crypto is a sign that this change is in the process of happening as we speak. In 1993, Nigo, who was a mainstay in Japanese street culture and hip-hop music scenes, he merged the gap between East and West culture when he founded a brand called The Bathing Ape. Nigo was a major collector of art, fashion, and pop culture, and he understood well cultural iconography, creating signature camouflage hoodies with a logo inspired by the Planet of the Apes movies. Nigo also pioneered the marketing strategy, which is known today as hype, marketing to the masses, but intentionally holding back the supply. He would, for example, make 50 t-shirts, give half to his friends, and have the other half for sale. The actual demand for the t-shirts was actually about 250 shirts that people wanted to buy, but he would only cater to 10% of what the demand was, leading to the t-shirts selling out immediately. So people knew that when there was a release of his goods that they had to come or either line up in order to get a piece of the action. By 1998, Bape was so successful that it was sold in 40 stores. And to further this model of hype, what Nigo did is he actually, in a super risky move, he pulled the goods from all 40 stores and he only sold out of one point of sale. And this point of sale was a members only club that was on the 17th floor of an office building where you had to fill out an application, give your passport number, and you had to make an appointment and wait in line to actually buy the goods. This created almost a hysteria around people getting their hands on the brand, and because the supply was so low and it was just so difficult to get. So the level of desirability was super high. To further build desire for the brand, what Nigo did was he formed friendships and brand alliances with celebrities in the American hip hop scene. This crossover into Western culture was instrumental in the growth of the brand. So by the mid-2000s, Nigo became friends with Pharrell. Pharrell had come into Tokyo and was looking for a studio to shoot his latest album, and he couldn't find space. And not speaking the language and not knowing anyone there, he was actually at a loss for a place to shoot place to record his music. And when Nigo found out about this, he immediately offered studio space that he had in his own office building, and they became friends. And Pharrell then went home with suitcases full of Bathing Ape clothes. By 2005, Nigo opened the store in New York City, 2006 in LA, and in 2007, Nigo collaborated with Kanye West for the Bapesta sneaker, which was really similar to the Nike's Air Force One. By this time, he had full-fledged friendships within noteworthy and famous members of the hip-hop community in the United States, which really catapulted his brand to another level of brand recognition and to international notoriety. But what Nigo was especially talented at was his, I guess, nose for which collaborations, to which brands to collaborate with. He would choose these brand partnerships that would excite and surprise his existing community because they wouldn't really know which way he was going to go or what they could expect. And then also he chose these partnerships based on the fact that he wanted Bape's profile to be exposed to a different community and clientele so that he could grow his following. So he would do everything from collaborations with mundane household food and beverage items like Pepsi. And then he had a collaboration with streetwear brand Supreme. Obviously, the streetwear camaraderie was really strong at the time. Both brands really liked each other. He did a collaboration with Adidas in 2003. And then in 2005, he did a collaboration with Cause. And this is really smart because then he started to really get exposure also in the art community. With his great knowledge for pop culture, he did a really cool collaboration with Disney. He had a Winnie the Pooh bear, I think, when he was little, and so he really loves this character. In 2007, the collaboration with Kanye, this is the Bapester that he did. In 2008, he did a collaboration with The Godfather, so doing a play on the logo and putting his own camouflage print on the logo, which was super cool. And then in 2012, he did a collaboration with Comme des Garçons. And this collaboration is really important because he knew that he wanted to collaborate with a luxury brand, but a luxury brand that had cult status. So Comme des Garçons was the perfect brand to do this with. And I'm sure they knew each other through the Japanese fashion community. But this is really important in laying the foundation for this transition or for this acceptance by streetwear by luxury brands. And then in 2013, another reference and another collaboration with pop culture because it's a deep understanding of what's cool and what the streetwear kids would really accept and really be excited by. And he did this collaboration with The Simpsons, which was amazing. Supreme was founded in 1994 as a small skateboard brand that gave a voice to the super rebellious skate culture. And it rose from a small streetwear brand to a brand that was bought by VF Corp at a valuation of $2 billion. Using similar marketing strategies as did Bape. So Supreme started out of the gate implementing the hype scarcity model. And the product was only available in Supreme's own stores. So there was only a few stores. So there wasn't any major retailers or any big points of distribution, just like Bape. And they also would only have very few items in the drop, and then for each person that came through the door was limited to only buying a certain number of items, and so they kept the supply really, really low and didn't allow any one person to buy too much, keeping the demand super high. Also, through similarly to Bape, Supreme was able to hit a much more mainstream audience and to really piggyback off of this celebrity association. But unlike Bape, Supreme didn't actually go after it. The celebrities found Supreme because it was just that underground and cool. So you'll see artists like A$AP Rocky and Tyler the Creator and Drake and LeBron James, and even females were wearing the men's clothes like Kendall Jenner and Madonna and Rihanna and Justin Bieber. Not a female, but also would be wearing big fans of Supreme. This helped really kind of catapult Supreme into this brand that became known to the masses and really became actually really known within the fashion set. And again, like Bape, Supreme was really amazing at their ability to choose very interesting collaborations. So they drew a lot more on American heritage and American culture. So for example, you'll see here in this photo, there is a collaboration that they did with Hanes t-shirts, and they were sold in these multi-packs, and that was so cool because Hanes t-shirt is almost like underwear that you wear every day, and they took a really mundane fashion object and made it something hypey and cool. They also did a collaboration with, they did a lot within the sports space. They did this collaboration with Spalding basketball. This is one of my favorite collaborations that they did with Everlast, the boxing story. They also had like a boxing robe, and they had like different boxing equipment, like the thing that you use in your hand to make your hand stronger. I don't even know what that thing's called, but they did that, and I know that sells for like so much money. And then they did a collaboration even with Kate Moss herself. So James Jebbia, the founder of Supreme, is friends with Kate Moss. So this collaboration of her wearing Supreme, which is like super cool. I used to have this t-shirt, but I think I sold it. And then they did a collaboration with Fender, the guitar. So they did something within the music industry because they have a lot of music fans, and obviously skate and music are really closely intertwined. So that was a really amazing collaboration. And gosh, I don't even want to think about how much that guitar is worth right now. Obviously Nike, the Air Force One. And then they did a collaboration in 2015, which was, I think, really instrumental also, just like Bape did when they collaborated with Comme des Garçons for Supreme. They took it up a notch, and they did a collaboration with Rolex. And this picture may be too small and you can't see, but it says in red on the face of the watch, it says, fuck 'em. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube. Anyway, I said it. And then on the back of the watch is the logo, the Supreme logo, which is kind of like amazing. And they made, I don't know how many of these watches, not that many, but they sell for $50,000 a piece. Not bad. And then the zeitgeist of all streetwear collaborations came when Louis Vuitton collaborated with Supreme. And I think this is the point where streetwear, there started to not be a distinction between streetwear and high fashion. It just kind of really merged. And it was a point definitely where it's never really gone back to where streetwear is just like a trend that like went back to disappear. It's actually maintained its place, if not become stronger, especially in the menswear space. So this collaboration is just so significant and such a milestone in our industry for when streetwear and high fashion truly got married. And you'll see here that this Supreme logo hoodie sells on eBay for $25,000. That is absolutely crazy. And then I also wanted to share this because, again, because we're on this journey to virality and to mass adoption, there's, I guess, we feel this urgency. We want people right away to go. We have 277,000 addresses who are active, just under 80,000 staked and in Hex. And so we really want to get into that point where we're in the millions. And what I wanted to point out was that this is a graph, because I know you guys love a graph. And this is a graph of the Google Analytics of people who would search for Supreme. And it actually starts at 2003 when Supreme was launched in 1994. So it wasn't until, you'll see here, I'm going to point here, this point is about 2016 when there started to be a spike. That's over 20 years after the launch of Supreme that it really became big and people started to look for it in droves. And then this is the point where the Louis Vuitton collaboration, and then it sold. And then it sold for at a $2 billion valuation. And then I'm sure now the graph is even higher. But I just thought that was really fascinating. So as I was doing all this research on streetwear and the rise of this movement, it's like as from niche to now major luxury brands in some cases, it was fascinating to see that there are a lot of parallels between crypto and streetwear, and also between the RH projects, Hex, Pulse, and Pulse X, and how streetwear really built its way up into the mainstream. So if you look at, for example, Hex, the scarcity is built in. We have a low circulating supply, 277,000 wallets, and just under 80,000 staked. And it'll be so interesting to see as more and more people start using and buying and getting into the Hex ecosystem, what that's going to do for the demand and also supply. I think that we're going to see a phenomenon that's going to create, I think, almost to the point of hysteria. That will be exciting to watch. As for Pulse X, it is by definition going to become more scarce because it's deflationary. And with the decreasing supply of Pulse X in conjunction with the unique and incredible game theory behind Pulse Chain with its system state copy and low fees and faster transactions, we are really working that supply and demand to our favor to drive up the price of both tokens. But those parallels aside, what I think that we can actually learn from how Streetwear has risen is that we need to really look to appeal to and engage with different communities outside of just crypto and the Hex, Pulse, and Pulse X ecosystems, because there's a whole world out there of people who are not crypto literate and who certainly don't know about the RH projects. And I think that it's you see a lot of the community members really reaching out beyond just our immediate community. And I think that that's really important in order to onboard the masses. I think that high profile associations continuing, I think it's great that we have, Robert Kiyosaki, football players like Justice Hill. I just think that we should continue. I know that there's a lot of requests for Richard to go on to Joe Rogan. I think that would be really amazing. Not only is he a celebrity, but he's an opinion leader, to engage with the likes of someone like an Elon Musk, along with other athletes, celebrities, artists, and opinion leaders and politicians. And then the last I would say is it was really inspired by the work of Motley Investor and with the Daytona 500 team sponsorship. And that really got me to start thinking about how can we associate with brands in a way that complements Hex, Pulse, and the Pulse X brands. And also, which brands should we seek out to engage with in order to increase our visibility and to adopt members from other communities that, again, don't know much about crypto and certainly don't know anything about Hex or the RH ecosystem. So I think it's for us to really think beyond what we already know and what we're used to and what we see, and to look outside of that and to really look to engage with. I think brand collaboration is just a fantastic way because you just immediately get the eyeballs of so many people who beforehand would have never heard of you. So I'm going to continue to do this exploration of brands who have really innovative and clever marketing strategies, and study what they've done and try to figure out more things that we can learn and extract from other successful brand stories, and see how we can apply that to our journey for mass adoption and virality. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again very soon. Bye.